Good evening. We're going to go ahead and try to get started with our ceremony. We're starting about 10 minutes behind, but we want to give everyone time to kind of start their meal before we get it started. So if I could ask everyone to stand briefly while our honor guard posts colors, please.
Can we put those hands together in celebration of tonight? Yeah. Father, we just want to thank you for this gathering of the families and those that are connected to the city of Rocky Mount. We thank you for this recognition tonight of all those that have retired, those that are being inducted, and those who have stood and retired. We thank you, God, that you have watched over them and continue to watch over them. And God, there's a special prayer in my heart for the wives of the husbands who are firemen, that they late at night have to be alone sometimes. But God, I pray that you will strengthen them and continue to bless them and continue to keep watch over our city as we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
First off, I'd like to welcome everyone to our 2019 Employee Recognition Ceremony. I'll try to lay off the mic a little bit. As Chief Root mentioned earlier, this is a very special time for us. Anytime we have an opportunity to gather our employees together, particularly with our family members, it's a special time. I look around the room and I see really a packed house. I see pretty much every table with not only our retirees, but our current personnel, as well as family members. And I can't help but feel a sense of pride that everyone here knows what our members go through, knows the sacrifices they make, but I assure you, we know the sacrifices you as family members make also. So this is a very special time for us to get together and celebrate many, many accomplishments. I just want to take a moment to say a few words, if that's okay. First off, I'd like to recognize a few special people that have joined us tonight. On the stage, Mayor David Combs, City Manager Ms. Rochelle Small-Tony, and of course, as always, Chaplain Anderson. And on stage I have Division Chief of Operations Donnie Daniels and Interim Division Chief of Life Safety and Training Carl Moore. So we'll be your host for the remainder of the evening, and we're going to try to keep it moving forward. I'd also like to recognize past fire chiefs. Chief Varnell, of course. At this point I don't see any others at the moment, but as you know, Chief Varnell will be up here in a short bit of time, so he can speak to us after we present for him. But he's been a special fire chief for us for many years. As you know, that's a very important role, and all of our personnel perform a special function and a special job. But that particular role keeps everybody basically moving forward in the same direction. So we'll move forward with him a little while later. And of course, as I stated, most importantly, family members. We couldn't do it without you. It's an honor to share tonight with each of you special presentations of many accomplishments for our active and retired employees. To work in emergency services is a special calling that requires a true passion of helping others. There are a few other occupations where you'll put yourself in harm's way to go help someone that you don't even know. The opportunity to work as an emergency responder, especially in the Rocky Mount Fire Department, is a true blessing that will never, and really many will never understand and really fully appreciate. So it's really a true blessing. In our environment, you have the opportunity to encounter someone for the first time on the worst day of their life, and you have the opportunity, and do so on many occasions, to make it better. That one glimmer of hope that they feel like they don't have, you bring it to them. Whether it's a working structure fire, where in many cases where they're standing outside watching as our personnel are working and their home is in flames, but our personnel help to reduce the amount of property damage. Whether it's an emergency medical call where their loved one, they're watching you assist their loved one, and in some cases where their loved one has no pulse and is not breathing. Or whether it's a natural disaster where our personnel are going to save someone that is trapped in floodwaters, and they have no other way of helping themselves. In all of these times and many, many others, our personnel have the opportunity to provide a true special gift for all of our community and our citizens, and they do so in a highly professional manner. So you can't put a price tag on that particular gift. I relate the opportunity we have as stewards of one of the most noble professions that exists, which is the fire service, to the Today Show with Willie Geist on Sunday morning. He shares a segment, I don't know if y'all have heard of it, but called Life Well Lived. In those particular segments, he features different people from various walks of life that spend their life doing things that benefit many other people more so than it benefits themselves. Every time I see a segment and see what those individuals that are being recognized do, I can't help but think of every member of our department who every time they get up from a meal, wake up in the middle of the night, they come in and as soon as they check their truck and make sure everything's right, or whether they're in the middle of training and preparing, they stop and respond immediately to help someone that they do not know. And I can't help but feel like that every time I see that segment, that to me, that is representative of a life well lived. Because you're making an impact on someone that you do not know, and you're making an impact at a time where it is the most meaningful and touches them the most. So I'm very proud to be a part of an organization that allows us the opportunity to do so, and I'm very blessed to have been given the opportunity many years ago, like many of you have. So, and to our retirees, as you look back over your career from your current perspective as retirees, I'm certain you will see things a little more clearly than they were when you were in the midst of working. However, there is something that you may not see that others do. Each time you touch someone in the Rocky Mountain Fire Department or a citizen in this community, you probably didn't recognize it when you were in the midst of doing it. You made a positive impact on many people, the people that you enjoyed meals with, people that you responded with, the people that you helped learn their job for the very first time. You gave them things that at the time you didn't even realize you were giving them. And while you may not remember it, and you may not remember those specific instances where someone, they finally got it, I assure you they do. And they see your face every time they put their hand on it. And they know that you're the one that helped carry them through. So while it may not be clear to you, it's very clear to the many people that you've impacted in your career. So we congratulate you and applaud you for that. And there's no greater reward that you should feel right now than to know you have helped bring along many firefighters in our particular department and helped us to be able to carry forward the tradition of excellence and service that our department offers. To our newly hired and trained members who've been with us for a short period of time, my hope is that you have many positive experiences to look for in your career. There will be some very challenging instances and experiences that you test that will test your resolve as an emergency responder. However, there will never be an instant or experience that you face that you will face alone. Chief Root mentioned earlier, we are a family. The Rocky Mountain Fire Department is a family. We support each other. Just like families, we get on each other's nerves from time to time. But in a time of need, or when you're working alongside a coworker, no matter what the situation, you always have somebody with you. You're never alone. So no matter what you face or experience, always know that you'll have somebody with you, from the newest firefighter that may have gotten hired with you to the person that works in a staff position that you see once every now and then. All of us are with you because we're all in this together. And all of that contributes to our successes. And to our to our members, who've been here for a few years, you continue to be a part of something very special. I truly hope that you see the value in your existence and your efforts, because I certainly do. You've been blessed with the opportunity of being somewhat of a caretaker for the city of Rocky Mountain and their citizens, and you've been doing a wonderful job, and you continue to train so you can do much better. You will work tirelessly to prepare for the unthinkable, and when necessary, be required to perform those duties in the most professional and efficient manner. You have the opportunity to change the lives of many, So I encourage you to avoid letting trivial things keep you from remembering what is important and always realizing how vital your role is to the RMFD team and to our success. I thank you all for allowing me the time to share a few moments with you. I could not be any more pleased to be a part of this organization and to have the opportunity to stand before you tonight. We have a wonderful department, second to none. We are involved and work with many people in the region and throughout the country, and I stand here with confidence saying that our community is cared for by one of the finest fire departments in the country. So thank you for that, because without the individuals that are in this room and several others that aren't here, the Rocky Mountain Fire Department would not be what it is today, because the people in this room, including the family members, are the true heart of the RMFD. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me tonight. I don't know if anybody from the mill is here, but I certainly want to thank them. They've been great supporters of the city of Rocky Mount since they've been here. I think one of their general managers of the mill was with the fire department in Durham, and so I know this is special for them tonight. But if you see some of them, thank them for what they're doing in our community as well. About 12 years ago, I was running for mayor about this time, and one of the things that someone suggested that I do was ride with a police officer one night from about 11 o'clock in the morning until about 5 o'clock in the morning, which I did. And there's a different world out there between 1 and 5 o'clock in the morning than maybe you see on a day-to-day basis. It was a great experience. And so about 2 weeks later, I spent the night with the fire department. I started about 3 o'clock in the afternoon with one of the division captains and rode around to every fire station in the city. And it was a great experience for me. I spent the night, had great meals, and that's one thing I can tell you. All of you out there, the fire department eats well. They've got people that cook very well, and they had a great meal with them. And then I went to bed, and I thought, well, I'm going to get some sleep here tonight. About every time I would almost fall asleep, the bell would go off, and I went with them every time. They just wouldn't let me slide down the pole. I had to walk down the steps, but you know, it was an amazing experience, and it does make you appreciate what the men and women of the Rocky Mountain Fire Department do on a day-to-day basis. The other day I was out and it was 95 degrees, and I heard a fire truck, and I thought, I can't imagine putting on all that gear and it's 90, 95 degrees, but these firefighters are doing that on a day-to-day basis. I think the night I spent the night, there was a gunshot wound that we responded to. There was somebody that was EMT having a heart attack, and there were several other events that we went to, but it really opened my eyes in terms of what the fire department did, the training. You know, there was nobody sitting around, you know, with the training and the education that continues at the fire department. They're always doing something to keep themselves abreast, but it's been a great experience for me. I've been mayor almost 12 years, so I've attended a lot of these events. I want to thank all the firefighters, your families, that certainly hope you come home safe every night for what you do for the city of Rocky Mount, whether it's a fire, whether it's a hurricane, or a car wreck, or an ice storm. You're always out there protecting the citizens of Rocky Mount, and I really appreciate what you've done for our community over the years, and I would agree, I think this is one of the finest fire departments, not just in the North Carolina, but in the country. And so I want to let's give ourselves a round of applause, because I think we deserve it. I think I've started, and I think Chief Mullen was here, and I think then Chief Harris was here, and then Chief Mayo was here, and then Chief Farnell, and now Chief Raper. So I've been through some fire chiefs, and you know, they've all done an excellent job, and I want to thank you, Mike, for the work that you did here. I think you're the only chief that's here tonight, but thank you all for each and every day for what you do. And again, hopefully you'll invite me back in the future, even when I'm not mayor. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. As the mayor was speaking, I was reminded of a sort of a story that I sometimes recall, and I'll share it with you. It's very quick. So if you would imagine back in 1978, when women weren't really represented in the fire service at that point, and I was an intern with the city of Durham. I just completed my senior year playing basketball for that great university at Chapel Hill. And the HR director at the time wanted to test out the fire training for women. And he looked at me and thought, you'd probably be a good candidate to go through all of these training exercises for the fire service. And because I was so focused on wanting to get a job as an intern, I very foolishly said, yeah, I'll do that, no problem. Until we get to the outside and there's a ladder truck with the ladder going like this. And I'm looking up at this thing, I'm like, no, thank you. So I have a special appreciation for what firefighters and the command staff do in preparation for the work, the very hard work that they do for our community. I've been fortunate over the years throughout my career to work very closely with many different fire departments. And I have to tell you, the Rocky Mount Fire Department, it sees them all. It's an accredited department. I think we all are very proud of the accomplishments of the department and the staff. And then I also want to recognize the families who support our employees who go out every day putting their lives on the line. A lot of times we don't always say thank you to the families, to the wives, the daughters, the children, and on, because they too make a sacrifice. This is very dangerous work. Even though we know that they are well trained, you just never know, when your time comes. But thankfully we have people who are willing to make those kinds of sacrifices to keep all of us safe. And so I'm going to now move on to more of my prepared statements. The entrepreneur Chris Grosser once stated that opportunities don't happen, that you create them. And so I want to join all of you to salute all of our fire department personnel who are being celebrated at this evening's awards and recognition ceremony. You are here this evening because you created an opportunity for success. For those of you being promoted today, you have worked diligently on this transition. You have obtained the necessary knowledge and skills for this advancement, and we realize it is not an easy feat. For those who are receiving life-saving awards, congratulations on getting the training essential for your recognition. There are many who have benefited from your invaluable talents and who wouldn't be here today without you. For all of the new hires, you are to be commended for obtaining the education and having the dedication to make it this far. We realize the fire service industry is a rigorous one that requires a certain skill set and generous commitment. Finally, for our retirees, thank you for your years of service to the city of Rocky Mount. You have demonstrated your unwavering commitment to the public and demonstrated the fire department's core values of integrity, honesty, respect, teamwork, and dedication. We can never thank you enough for all that you have done. Congratulations again to everyone who is being recognized here today for creating your own opportunities for success. Thank you so very much, and we look forward to next year's group of honorees.
And now for the most important reason we're here, and that's to celebrate the lifetime of accomplishments for our retirees and their years of service and sacrifice to our department and our community, for the professional accomplishments and the life-saving measures that have taken place over the last year or so. It's unfortunately, there are times that we get together as a fire department family to celebrate the life of someone that's passed, or we pull together during a major incident, as the mayor and Ms. Maltoni referenced, but tonight is an opportunity we can come together and celebrate each other and the accomplishments that each of you have had and contributed to in our department and our city. So we'll start out tonight. The first portion will be our retirees, and what will happen is I'll actually call someone that will speak on behalf of the retiree, and the retiree would come up after that and have the opportunity to say a few remarks. So if you know you're speaking on behalf of a retiree and you see where you're at in the order of the service, if you could go ahead and make your way up to the platform, it would help to speed up the process. But without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and start honoring our retirees. We would like to begin this portion by recognizing those who have retired since April 10th, 2018. And the first retiree we'll be honoring tonight will be Deputy Fire Marshal Robert B. West, and at this time I'd like for retired Fire Marshal Robbie Pate to come forward to speak on behalf of Deputy Fire Marshal West, who retired November 1st, 2018.
Thank you, sir. First and foremost, I haven't heard anybody say anything about the food we ate, and I thought the guys that prepared the food did an outstanding job, so if you would, give them a hand, because we enjoyed the food. When they first asked me to speak about Brian, excuse me, they said, well, you got 4 to 7 minutes. My first response was, oh, I can do that. Then I started thinking more and more about Brian. I said, ooh, there's a lot to cover. 4 to 7 minutes. I'm gonna have to talk really, really quick. So if you get through your break, okay. All right, so I'll try to get through it without keeping you here long. Brian, like some employees, didn't start out with the fire department. Brian came to work, first of all, on November 2nd, 1987, with the street department. He works like 3 years for the street department, then he had the opportunity to apply for the fire department. He was hired, came to work on October 2nd of 1989. Brian came over in 2006. Brian made a transition to the dark side. Staff, 8 to 5. So Brian came over, he was promoted to a fire prevention specialist, and he served under Fire Marshal Davis, and later when I took Chief Davis's place, he worked for me. So Brian and I worked together for a number of years, and after I retired, he stepped up and served as the interim fire marshal for a while until Chief Mark Rogerson was hired to come on board. And then Brian continued on trying to increase his knowledge and responsibility, and he was promoted to the deputy fire marshal March 1st, 2016. So he served there until he retired in November 1st, 1918. So Brian devoted a little over 31 years to the city of Rocky Mount, to the citizens of Rocky Mount, which is something that's kind of remarkable for someone to be committed. When I started trying to think of what to say about Brian, I started thinking about a lot of different things, but one word kept coming up. Whatever I thought about, one word always seems to surface, and that was commitment. Brian, he couldn't play poker because he's an all-in type of guy. When he gets into something, he's going to commit to it, and he's going to do it. He's going to do it right, or he's not going to do it. So Brian's very committed. First and foremost, if you know Brian, you know his first priority is his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. He lives his faith. He's a Christian person. He's very committed to his church, to his Sunday school class. So that alone says something about Brian. He's very committed to his Lord and Savior in his religion. He lives his faith. Brian's committed to his family. Like a lot of us sometimes have to do, I know he had to serve as a caretaker for his family, for his parents, as his parents aged. So he was committed to that. He's committed to his daughter. Carolyn probably got him in some situations he didn't. Brian got into the point where he was doing theater and going in plays and acting and working that way. And I think he did that because of his commitment to Carolyn. He's been committed to her. Carolyn's a very talented musician. I remember when she first started playing, Brian showed me some videos, and I said, she does good. And then like 2 months later, I said, is that the same person? Because she exceeded exponentially. So Brian was very committed to her, and he's just always been very committed to his family. As far as his career, it takes a lot of commitment when you come into fire prevention, because there's a lot of knowledge you have to have. Codes, ordinances, regulations, not just city codes, but you've got a lot of NFPA standards that you have to be familiar with. And the commitment that Brian displayed in learning that information, and not only learning it, but being able to go out in the field and apply it, it just speaks a lot for Brian. So again, that was because of his commitment. Now Brian's joined an elite group, the RMFD retirees. So you have some requirements, Brian. You got to make sure that you start attending the retiree breakfast. Because we eat every Friday morning, whether we want to or not. So you got to make sure you attend that. You're going to be required to keep posting the beach photos and stuff on Facebook, the fish you catch, that kind of stuff. It just, you got to rub it in the guys that still work. They just got to know that as the elite retirees, we do struggle, daily to make sure we enjoy ourselves and keep busy. My encouragement to you is as committed as you've been to everything you've done. Show that same commitment to your retirees, to your retirement. Enjoy yourself. You've worked hard. You've earned it. You deserve it. If you will, come forward, Brian.
So I don't know where to start, but I was told Robbie, he said 4 to 7 minutes. I was told that included my time, so he's taking most of it up. So maybe I can get some extra. Actually, I was told when the slideshow changed, that means I could get off the stage. So, and I didn't prepare anything tonight. I just figured I would shoot from the hip because it means more. There are some people that I would like to thank. First of all, and some of you guys here know him, and some of you don't. He's been long passed away, but Wiley Ezel. And I remember him telling me and Bo Clark, you guys need to go get a job with the city. Well, he told me back in '86 that you ought to go apply. He said, you're not going to get rich, but I promise you, you won't starve, and the benefits are excellent, and it's a good job. So I took him up on it. With aspirations to come to the fire department, but I knew if I got my foot in the door, that would help me hopefully further what I wanted to do. So in '89, a crowd of us got hired. We were scattered about because we had nowhere to put us at the time, so we were, I guess, homeless. But it was a good career. I remember when I first started, and it's hard to remember that far back, but got a call one night of an apartment fire, and I thought, okay, well, this ought to be interesting. Well, we get there, and the whole roof's on fire. And Chief Asby comes over and snatches and says, take that line, boy, and go up the stairs. And I'm like, okay, what have I gotten into here? And this guy's crazy. I'm not going in there. But it was Christmas time, and I thought we've got to help these people out. And we did. And so, and I'd like to thank Robbie, and Philip couldn't be here tonight because he's out of town, but as he said, when I went over to he called it the dark side, to the other side, these guys were like, really, you're going over there? They don't do nothing. And I thought, I know they don't do anything. Why you think I'm going? But when I got over there, when you get on that other side, you realize then there's a whole lot more going on the other side than what you could ever think. It's not just dealing with guys at the stations having questions about things, but it's people out in the public dealing with contractors and, you know, the mill project. There was always something going on. So I was very appreciative to be able to get in that position. I met a lot of nice people out there. It was just a pleasure. So again, Robbie, and I thank y'all for coming alongside and dragging me in and pushing me along. And if anybody out here is looking to go in that direction, I would encourage it. It's a good job, a lot of fun, met a lot of good friends. And last, and I guess foremost, I'd like to thank the good Lord for some of you guys here know the struggle I went through a lot early in. It was rough, but there's some guys, where I'm sitting at the back smiling at me right now, that encouraged me and pulled me up by the bootstraps and said, "You got to get things together. You know, don't you ain't gonna be here." And so their encouragement, I thought, you know what, you're right. And so I did. I got my life straight, and I've got those guys to thank forever. One of them, I'm gonna tell a story on him. He's a state fan, so it'll be easy to figure out. But we were at headquarters, and I got the notion, well, we need to paint this guy's locker Carolina blue. So I don't know, it was kind of late at night. I found a gallon of blue Carolina paint down in the at headquarters, went upstairs and commenced to paint this locker blue. Of course, it stunk to high heavens, and everybody was mad at me because you couldn't breathe up there. But so this day it may still be, I don't know, but I'll have to stop by sometime and see. But I am appreciative to Chief Raper, Chief Barney, all you guys for giving me this opportunity. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I first started, but I wouldn't take anything for it. So I'd just like to thank all y'all for your encouragement and just helping me along.
My heart is with the family, and Brian spoke about the family there. And the first person I get to speak about is Gary Wood. Gary was hired on October the 2nd of 1989, and he was promoted to fire captain May the 16th of 98. Is that right, 98? Gary depicts family to me. I'm going to tell you a quick story about Gary. And I got hired in 1996, and Larry Johnson was my captain. And I went to an out-of-town school. We're safe, Gary. And I went to an out-of-town school, and Gary was one of the first people that grabbed a hold of me and said, "Come on, let me teach you what the fire service is about. Let me take care of you." And we went out and ate dinner, and we went downtown. But we got up and went to class. And he taught me what it's like to be a firefighter 1 month, 2 months into my career. And so, Gary, I thank you so much for the very beginning of showing me what it's like to be a family firefighter. Gary has some family members here tonight. He's got Connor, his son, and Morgan, his daughter, his father and mother, Kermit and Elizabeth, that are here to support him tonight. Again, showing how strong a family is and what he means to us. But you know, Gary, it didn't stop on that trip to Wilmington 2 months into my career in 1996. You see, I was fortunate enough to be promoted, and Gary and I worked together. And we sat in his office and talked at night about family and about what that means, and we talked about our relationship with Christ, and talked about Gary running and all the miles he ran. I kept thinking, Gary, how do you run that far? He said, I put my headphones on and I just go. And I thought, you know, that's special. You know, not just the running, but spending time with the Lord. And I thought back, you know what, Gary? You're a true family man. And that's what I loved about it. You know, he was involved in a ton of different things over the years. He ran our hose program and our spring cleaning program, and you name it, he was recruiting people for our organization. He was teaching classes to our organization, and he was always building it up, never tearing it down. Gary loves the Rocky Mount Fire Department, and we love Gary for that. You know, Gary, I came up with a word for each of the ones that I'm going to talk about tonight, and the word that came to me as soon as I started thinking about you was endurance. And I looked in the Bible, and I was looking for some different areas, and 2 Corinthians 1:6 talks about endurance, and it talks about being distressed, and it talks about gaining your comfort, and it talks about us as a family while we're in distress giving comfort to each other. And it talks about how we can become patient through our endurance. And you describe that, you show that, that is you. As we sat in your office at Station 3 just a couple years ago and we talked, I saw endurance out of a man that I respect from 1996 when he grabbed me and said, let me show you what it's like to be a firefighter and be a family man. So I want to thank you so much for bringing me in 1996 and showing me all that. And I want to thank you for the guidance and for the leadership and for those talks that we had at Station 3 and for the love that you've showed for each person in this organization, because you laid a foundation for many of us to follow. So not to go any longer, I just want to bring Gary up and tell you congratulations on an awesome career.
I fell in love with the fire service in my hometown as a volunteer, and I decided that's what I wanted to do for a living. And I couldn't do that for a living in my hometown because I'm from a real small town. And so I moved to the big city of Rocky Mount. And that's why I came here, was to be a firefighter. This is where I applied all over the state. I got turned down by a bunch of places because back then they wouldn't hire you if you were from a foreign county in the state, like Hope County. And Chief Hawkins told me they hesitated on hiring me because I wasn't from Nash or Edgecombe County. But I fell in love with the fire department, and my family grew like crazy because there was 19 of us in our recruit class, and I grew up with 2 sisters, and all of a sudden I had 18 brothers and even more brothers when I went on shift. But I thank God for putting me here in Rocky Mount. This was an awesome place to spend my career, and I thank everybody that I worked with and helped me along the way, because I worked with some of the best crews that ever came through the fire department. We had some good times together, and I appreciate all the good words from Mike, and thank y'all.
I had the pleasure tonight going behind Chief Root, probably one of the best speakers in the fire department, so I can assure you that I'm not going to go over my time limit. It is a great honor to stand before you tonight and present retiree Maurice Pete Weaver. He turned his application in for employment with the Rocky Mount Fire Department on March 7th, 1989. Just so you know, Pete, that was the year I started kindergarten. His previous jobs included Sledge Lock, Consolidated Diesel, and the 1-hour photo lab at Golden East Mall. On his application, there was a question that asked, why were you applying for this position? And Pete's answer was, wants to work more with the public and want to help in any way he can. I definitely think Pete truly held true to those comments throughout his career. Pete was hired as a firefighter on October 2nd, 1989, and was promoted to fire engineer on January 11th, 1997, and promoted to fire training specialist on November 4th, 2006. Throughout his career, Pete made many lasting impacts on the Rocky Mount Fire Department. I'm sure everybody remembers Pete walking around the fire station with that brown clipboard and those neon raincoats, making sure everyone had been sized for a new coat. Their uniform orders has been completed with the proper equipment they would need throughout the year, and most of these tasks were completed on his days off. Pete was also a member of the department's original 10-man crew, and many of the pictures of events, training exercises, and fires that we have in around our station today were taken by Pete. And now we have Lamont who's taking his place. When Pete was moved into the fire training specialist job, he also served as one of the fire department's fire investigators for around 5 years before the FIT team was formed. Pete Weaver loved the Rocky Mountain Fire Department, and he loved the department because he cared about each individual that worked with the organization. As stated before, Pete wanted to help in any way he could, and that included his community and his fellow employees. Pete has been a photographer at many fire department members' weddings, special events, and Pete never met a stranger. And if he did meet a stranger, he would find out enough information about them to write a small bio before they parted ways. Pete also never called anyone by their real name. Everybody had a Pete Weaver nickname. I was able to work with Pete for about 5 years before he was moved to his 8 to 5 position, and I can still remember those late nights with the life lessons on the back ramp of headquarters, leaning over the side of that blue Nissan, disassembling and many nights reassembling Volkswagen Bug transmission and parts. To his family, his daughter, as we knew her, Muffin, and to his son, Rambo, your dad truly loves you, and he is proud of everything that you accomplished. And I can tell you this because he talked about how proud he was of you many times. To his wife, Miss Cynthia Weaver, we should probably be calling you forward tonight to give you an award for putting up with him and taking care of him while he was away from the fire department. But with that being said, he's all your responsibility now. So Pete, thanks for your friendship and your dedication to the Rocky Mountain Fire Department and its members. Please come forward.
Oh, Boochie. This has been real. It's been a good job for the last 30 years. The first day I came to work here, I asked myself on the 5th day if this is what I really wanted to do. As a kid, I grew up wanting to be a firefighter because I hung around over there at Fire Station number 2 with Marvin Reams and that crowd when they first built the station. Well, after we got through with the ropes course and the real training started, and you had to deal with your Pacos and your Pittman that was young at the time and Greg Tharrington, when those guys were punishing. So I stuck with Gary, because Gary was about the only one of us out of the 19, if I'm not mistaken, that had fire experience. The rest of us was kind of green. I mean, didn't have any fire experience at all. So we hung with Gary. As long as we follow Gary, we probably gonna be all right. But now, before the days were over with and those nights, we were wore out. And I asked myself several times, is this what I want to do? But after hanging in there a couple of years and working up at headquarters and working with some good crews, and those people that retired before us, I mean, they were great leaders. They were great leaders for us, because without them, we probably wouldn't be here today. I mean, because it was just totally different back there than it is now. And like I say, we had great crews that we worked with every day. Now, also, all that time off what people used to think about, it wasn't time off. I was probably back at the station every day doing something, uniforms or just hanging around doing something. I started painting with Jerry for a while, and I told Jerry, I said, hey, I ain't doing this because I need the money. I'm just doing it to hang out with you people because I ain't gonna be here every day. And I didn't. But I wanna thank my family, my wife, Cynthia, daughter, Shakithia, Muffin, and my son, Maurice. You know, coming up, you had to miss a few things, but I tried not to. I tried to make those football games. I think I missed one big thing, was a graduation from the Air Force, because it got changed several times, and I kept going to Chief Lancaster, and I said, I can't keep right on changing these dates, you know, to try to make the Texas. But other than that, I tried to make everything I could by trading time or either putting in for some vacation time or comp time or whatever to get off, and you have to do that. To all the young ones that have come up in the last 10 or 15 years, I hope somewhere along the line I have been a little bit of touch or a push to you to get you where you're at today. Because, you know, without that, I wouldn't have got where I was if it weren't for somebody else helping me, and I wasn't gonna leave you behind to do that. To all the supervisors that I worked with, I went up to the last ones, Carl, Donnie, the rest of them from the first one, Chief Hawkins on down. Everybody's been great, and I want to thank all of you for it, and it's been wonderful.
Andrew, you're doing pretty good. We're going to have to put you on that list with Chief Root. All right, I'm up here to speak on behalf of Travis Kelton Alford. I'm going to echo a number that you're going to hear numerous times tonight. You've already heard a few times. Travis was hired on October the 2nd, 1989. Travis was promoted to fire engineer on January 17, 2004, and his official retirement date was February the 1st, 2019. A few months ago, I was at the house and I was talking to my wife, Frances, and I told her, I said, I've seen many people retire from the fire department so far. I said, but something about this group from 10-2-89 is just a group that this group is really sticking with me. And there's a few different reasons that probably is. One being that I spent a significant amount of time working with several different ones out of that group. And the other one being that they are a significant group. There's several people that worked all positions in this fire department out of that group that really set a good example for all of us, and they led us along the way. You know, that when a recruit class comes along, 72103 was mine, but when a recruit class comes along, there's always kind of a running joke with everybody of which class is the best. And every class kind of thinks that their class was better than the one that came before them. I can speak for you for this group that we're talking about tonight from 10-2-89. They were some of the best. And I want to thank every one of you. I'm up here to talk for Travis, but I want to thank every one of you out of that recruit class of 10-2-89 for everything that you've done for all of us. Travis Alford finished in the position of fire engineer, and he was definitely one of the best. With him tonight is his family, Miss Gina, Tiffany, and Brittany, his daughters. Travis was always a good family person. There was many times where Miss Gina and the girls came by to see us at the station and things of that nature. And Travis was, as others have mentioned tonight, Travis was always speaking on the girls and speaking about things they were doing. I remember nights we watched bull riding video or barrel racing videos at Station 5 and things of that when Tiffany first started barrel racing. My career working with Travis, I never was assigned to work with Travis until I was promoted to captain in November of 2010, and we were assigned at Station 6 on Ladder 30. I think I got sent over there to Station 6 in November, and Chief Johnson was our battalion chief, and in a few short months we set that ladder truck up at 3 different fires, one at Marita Bread Company, one at Cherry's Used Tires, and then the last one at Ball's Appliance. And then when we got back to the station after we had set it up at Ball's Appliance, Chief Johnson looked at me and Travis and said, y'all got to go somewhere. And just a few short weeks after that transfer list come out, and Travis and I both were sent to Station 5 on the same shift. So Travis had to deal with me a little bit more at Station 5. Every time, after that point, every time there was ever a rumor of transfers going around, Travis would say from time to time that he was not training any new captains. And he said that jokingly, but really when I sat down and thought about that, that's one thing that's kind of stuck with me, that Travis said out of many things that he told me, but that's one thing that kind of stuck with me. And you know, the more I thought about that informally, Travis did develop us as new company officers. Because with an engineer like Travis, a captain never had to wonder when the tone hit if Travis knew where he was going, because he always did. If we were going to a fire, if Travis knew where the hydrants were, because he did. If we were going to have to worry about how Travis was going to spot the truck, because he was going to spot it right every time. And another good thing about Travis, we never had to worry about what we were going to eat, because Travis always had that covered, and he was real good at it. The last thing that I'll speak on Travis is some things that Travis did. Obviously on duty, I spoke on those, but a few other things that Travis did. He was real big into life safety. When I first came to work up here, we had the puppet company and things of that nature, and we also had the clowns. That was what kind of coming to an end, but Travis was some of the leaders in those two things. Travis was always volunteering to go to the state fair to help out the life safety booth and things of that nature, and Travis was heavily involved in the honor guard. So as I said before, this group from 10-289, they set an example, a good example for all of us to follow, and Travis Alford being one of those out of that group who definitely set a good job, a good example of what all of us should strive to be. Travis, you want to come up?
Everything he just said, lies. As he said, 10-289 is very definitely a big number in the Rocky Mount Fire Department. We're probably the only class that will ever cover from fire chief all the way down to going over into the life safety division. We had fire captains. There was probably 5 of us that were engineers at one time. Chief Varnell was with us in that group. So we had all positions covered. This is a great place to be. Don't let all the new technology that's coming out on these trucks do away with the knowledge that you have that's in the books, because when you need it, that technology might not work. You got to be able to pull it out of where you've been studying and make it work, because the people you're trying to help, they don't care about technology. They just want it to be covered when you need it and have it. All I can say is, you guys that are just coming on, 30 years sounds like a long time. It'll go by in a flash, and you won't even realize it, that all of a sudden you're there. I was told by Jerry Tharrington years ago, you make 10 years, you're a third of the way there. You make 15, you're halfway there. You hit 20, you're 2/3 of the way there, and the rest of it's gravy. And it sure is nice being able to look back and have a good career. So just be safe and keep it between the ditches.
Bo Clark. Yeah, so I was going to tell you a little story about Bo Clark. But I'll get to that in just a second. So, as you know, he was hired on October the 2nd, 1989 with this crowd. He was promoted to senior firefighter on July the 6th of '02, and then to engineer on July the 5th of '03. Testament to Bo Clark. Testament to his desire. But I'm going to tell you a little something about a quick story about Bo, because one time I was at a station and I got the phone call and they said, let me speak to Jerry Clark. I said, we don't have a Jerry Clark. And they said, yeah, Jerry Clark. I said, I'm pretty sure we don't have a Jerry Clark in our fire department. They said, well, what about Bo? I said, yeah, we do have a Bo. Let me get him for you. I don't remember why I was at the station, why we weren't, it was at 5 one day or something like that, but I had the great pleasure when I first got promoted to engineer to work with Bo at Station 2. And if there was a Station 2 man, Bo Clark was it. The passion, the love, the desire for people. Bo, you're a true servant. It's here. If you need a shirt, he's got it. If you need shoes, he's going to get them for you. He is a true servant, and you led us on how to be a servant. So let me talk about let me talk about his guest that he has here tonight. Again, a testament to him. He's got Jerry Clark Sr., Nancy Clark, Gray Clark, Bailey Tyndall, Mandy Gill, Josh Evans, and Sandra Clark. Guys, I remember at Station 2, Bo's family coming. It was 2 beautiful young girls and young guy, and plopping up there on the chairs and just spending time with us, bringing cakes and cookies, eating with us. And I thought, man, I didn't have kids at that point. And I thought, man, this is awesome. And then I watched this number 2 firefighter on Boone Street one night. I don't know how tall you are, Bo, but I can tell you this, a door and a door casing won't hold him back. Because Bo took about 3 steps back and he ran and he dove into the door, and him, the door frame, everything went in with him. And I was like, he's got it. He's in there. He grabbed the hose line and went in and put the fire out with the assistance of the rest of the crews. So let me talk about being a servant real quick. And I know, guys, we've been in here for a while. You've been sitting down. If you have to get up and go to the bathroom or something, please do. But this is a special time for our organization, for our retirees and stuff. Bo, thank you for the example of being a servant. Thank you for guiding us. Thank you for leading us. Thank you for allowing us to learn from you. I can't tell you how many times at number 2 that we would be, you know, because it was just the partitions, that I'd hear Bo praying for our organization, building up our organization, and guiding us. Thank you so much for that, Bo. And true to what I said for the 3 names, tonight I give you strength. The word for you that came to mind was strength. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And I think that depicts you, Bo Clark. Strength. You can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So I'd ask that you come up tonight, and if you would like to speak, the stage is yours.
I felt a little relieved when he said strength. I figured he'd say hard-headed. Because I was pretty good at that too. Me and Mike spent a lot of time at 2. A lot of you guys, I spent a lot of time at number 2. I did love it. It was a great place to be. I look back over this career, 29 and a half years, and I saw a lot of changes. I remember coming here, and like Brian said, a man named Wiley Easdale said, you boys ought to get a job at the firehouse. And I said, what do I want to be a fireman for? I had 3 years of college. I didn't know what in the world I was going to do, floundering around. He said, you work 10 days a month. He said, you can hunt and fish like you like. And boy, a big light went off, because many of you know I love to fish. I do. But I remember the age 10. 10 was a good age because I was old enough to go fishing with my dad, but I didn't have to cut grass. I remember going to work up here and thinking, 51 years old, I'll walk out that door and I can hunt and fish all I want to. I remember 2008 when Christ saved me. Changed my life drastically. My family. 2013, another year that radically changed our lives. Just a lot of dates, and now I'll remember this one. But I thank God for the strength He has given me to endure. I thank Him for my family. I thank Him for Mandy, my mom and dad, my Aunt Sandra. She and my Uncle Glenn brought me the first meal at Station 1. I think it was Christmas, or either it was Christmas, the first meal that I had brought to me at the firehouse. They brought it at Christmas because I was going to miss Christmas. And we were cleaning a ladder truck that we had sold, a hook and ladder truck. And we polished it and cleaned the ladders and the wheels. And that truck was already sold. But that was the way this department worked. We didn't half step on anything. Everything was done right. And even though it wasn't ours anymore, it wasn't going out of there dirty. It was going to look good. And every job we ever did, that's how we did it. We did it to the best of our abilities. I had a fire chief one time, and he said, I don't care if we burn it down. He said, you look good doing it. And those weren't his exact words, mind you, but that's what we did. We took everything with pride, and we did our very best. And guys, this 2019 class is a great class. It was a great bunch of guys, and I made friends that I'll never forget. But after them, I've made friends with a bunch of you guys I'll never forget either. And I'll never, ever forget you guys and what you did for me in 2013. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Bo. At this time, we'd also like to take the time to acknowledge the retirement of Fire Engineer Ronald D. Clark, Jr., who unfortunately could not be with us this evening. Ron retired on March 1st, 2019. And the next retiree to be honored tonight, at this point I would like to call Interim Fire Chief Ron Raper up to the podium to speak for retired Fire Chief Michael L. Varnell. Chief Varnell retired April 1st, 2019.
I could probably stand up here for hours and speak on Chief Varnell. I want to reiterate what many have said about this particular group. This group is a symbol of family. This department is a symbol of family. But those that have continued on, this large group standing here, that many of them are part of that 89 group, they reflect a family that stood together and continues to stay together as members. And I feel confident we'll see many of these faces that are in here tonight as we continue to have our quarterly breakfast. It's a very special group. I know y'all have a special bond, but we appreciate you very much. Now, Chief Varnell, tonight I am blessed and have the honor of speaking on behalf of Fire Chief Michael L. Varnell, a person I know is a great leader, a supervisor, and a friend. Chief Varnell began his fire service career with the City of Rocky Mount, again on October 2nd of 1989, and retired on April 1st of 2019. He worked 29.5 years with almost 31 years of service to our department as well as our community. Chief Varnell rose through the ranks from entry-level firefighter to the fire chief's position, working his full fire service career as a member of the RMFD. Throughout his years, he spent 22 years in a supervisory position, 17 of which were at a chief officer level, with the last 4 serving as fire chief. And for those of you who have ever held a supervisory position, 22 years in that role, that's a feat in itself. As I look at the traits necessary for a great fire chief, many come to mind. However, there's a few that rank to the top: honesty, integrity, and loyalty. When I think of these traits, I see each one of them and more in Chief Varnell as a fire chief, and more importantly, as a person. You see, you can't possibly be a great leader if you're not a great person, and you don't have a foundation as a great person first. Chief Varnell demonstrated these traits every day in a manner that seemed natural, which inspired those of us who worked around him, along with many others in and outside of our department. Through the best and most challenging days, Chief Varnell remained the same and carried himself as a strong leader with unwavering morals. Chief Varnell, I wish you many years of enjoyment in your retirement. And the fact that you spent your life, a good part of your life with us, we're greatly appreciative. And I hope you're blessed with the opportunity to be a part of many other special things, because I feel like that because of your efforts and your time and commitment, that we've all been able to be a part of a special organization. You embraced it, and you made the most of this opportunity that you were blessed with having many years ago. And for your service, we greatly appreciate it.
Well, good evening. 10/2/89. Anybody here remember Russell Osborne? He told us we weren't going to make it. Well, Bo, I think we just proved him wrong. I just want to thank Chief Raper with some kind thoughts, kind words. More than that, I want to thank each and every one that's here tonight, because each and every one of you play a role in this fire department. We have a great organization. I think that's without being said. As I travel across the country still today, I haven't seen a fire department yet that I would change or go to and leave Rocky Mount. We truly have a great organization, and it's made up of people that love each other, people that care for each other, and people that care for this community. Everyone sitting here tonight has a big role in that, and many that have come before us, over 100 years of tradition, have made it so. So what you see here tonight is a product of that. I'm very blessed to have worked with each and every one of you, and I wish you nothing but the best in the future. It's a very dangerous profession, as you all know, but the Lord has a plan for each one of you. And I tell you to enjoy it. Do not wish your life away. enjoy the ride, because the good days are now when you're young and you can enjoy the job and enjoy the people you work with. You've heard a lot of good stories tonight, and they're all true because it's all about the people that we work with. I thank you each and every one, and I have to thank my family, Ellen, Carter, Mike, Macy. Very, very blessed. And I want to thank this fire department for sticking with me through my battle with cancer. You've done so much for me. I'm so indebted to each one of you. And please know that if you ever need anything, you can call on me. Thank you so much, and good luck.
Before I get started, I was really hoping that I was going to be asked to speak about Brian West, but unfortunately I wasn't, and so y'all understand why. That was my locker that he painted blue. So I may yield some of my time at the end. Steve, I'm sorry to talk about Brian a little bit. No, I'm just kidding. First of all, let me say that it's certainly an honor and a privilege to be standing here tonight with past and present members of the Rocky Mount Fire Department. As a retiree myself, it's always inspiring to see and have a chance to interact and socialize with those who served before me and those who are here today, continuing to carry on the tradition of providing service to our citizens of Rocky Mount. And so, as I said earlier, I have the distinct privilege to talk about Fire Captain Steve Johnson. I spent a lot of my time throughout my career working with Steve. It seems like as we go through our careers, sometimes we just kind of wind up always working with the same group of people, and Steve was someone that, again, I spent a lot of time with. So he's not only a co-worker, but Steve is also a very close personal friend of mine. So in every organization, there are people who stand out, people who welcome opportunity, people who give tirelessly, people who will do whatever it takes to get the job done, people who are not here for recognition or praise. These are our go-to folks. We all depend on and leave a lasting impact on the organization. It may be on the fire ground when you have a difficult or dangerous situation that needs completing, or a project or task that takes commitment and dedication to accomplish. It may be a strong leadership that you need to help develop a young firefighter. Fire Captain Steve Johnson fits every one of those descriptions. He has been a go-to person for this organization for 30 years now. I could talk all night about the things that Steve has worked on and helped this department develop over the years that have made a significant impact on the organization, but I'm just going to touch on a few. Firehouse software came into Rocky Mount Fire Department, I think, in the early to maybe mid-1990s. Some of our chief officers went off to a conference. They found Firehouse software. We were in desperate need of a new records management system. They brought it back. And like chief officers do, they had the idea, but then they handed it off to someone else to do all the work. Well, Steve was one of the people that we asked to work on that project. And it took a tremendous amount of time to build all of the behind-the-scene layers that we needed to have it operational. At that time, Steve and I were working together at headquarters. And when everyone else was going to bed at night, Steve was in that back room working tirelessly, developing Firehouse so we could implement it and use it. On Sunday afternoons when everyone else was sleeping, Steve was working. That was a pattern of behavior that Steve carried on throughout his career. He also was very involved in our E911 addressing system, and he worked with our dispatch center. He spent many hours up there training dispatchers, implementing software and programs that would help dispatch our fire trucks on calls. In September of 1999, Hurricane Floyd rolled into our city. Now, for those of us who were working during that time, we all remember that event and all the things that we did, and we all have many stories that we could tell about it. Steve Johnson, because of his knowledge of our dispatch center, we asked him to go and work in that center during the event. He spent 72 hours straight dispatching fire calls. He went home for 8 hours and he came back and worked another 36. Now, for those of us who were out in the field, we also worked that amount of time. But I can tell you, as someone who was running one call right after the other, hearing Steve's voice on that radio, directing us to the next call, telling us what we were going to have, made a big difference. And I certainly appreciate that, Steve. Right after Floyd came through, we jumped into the accreditation process. We actually had started it before. We had to stop during Hurricane Floyd, and then we moved back into it. And all of the things that we had to do to get accredited were really built around collecting data and our records management system. And I go back to all the work that Steve had done on Firehouse software and how critical that was to us when we got accredited the first time, and how proud we were as an organization to have achieved that accomplishment. It was Steve's work and some other people, but primarily Steve, who spent the time building Firehouse software so that we could collect that data. So again, these are just a few things that are service related that Steve Johnson has contributed to our organization over the years. Now there's another side to Steve, and that's his personal and compassionate side. Now those of y'all who know Steve know that this might be a little bit tricky for me to maneuver through here, so bear with me. Because sometimes he doesn't actually show it. But the list of things that he's done for this organization and for the people and the personal touch that he's applied is long. And I'm going to start out with a story that probably I'm the only one in this room that knows about because at that time I was working with Steve. We were at headquarters, and every afternoon about 3:30 or 4 o'clock, a kid would come to the fire station and come in the captain's office. He was maybe 8 or 9 years old, and as Steve Johnson always does, he began to inquire and ask questions. You know, where are your parents? What's going on in school? How are your grades? And they developed a bond. Steve started tutoring this kid in the afternoons at the fire station. That's the Steve Johnson that I know and admire. I know for a fact that Steve has spent probably more money than anybody in this room on his employees. Buying them meals, buying things for the fire stations that the department wouldn't buy. I know for a fact that he's even offered and has paid for tuition for his employees to go back to school. Again, that's the Steve Johnson that I know. Everything from getting together as a shift and cooking at his house and inviting the entire staff out to eat, which we did, to starting back up the Brundage stew cookings that we used to do. Steve was instrumental in getting that started back at headquarters. And all of these things are social things, and we talk about family in the fire department, and this is what makes us a family. Steve was a leader in organizing those type of events. Russell Osborne's name was mentioned a while ago by Chief Arnell. Right after Russell retired, we found out he had cancer. He has a difficult time he was going through, and he had to make numerous trips for several months back and forth to Chapel Hill, I believe, is where he was taking his treatments. Steve Johnson organized the calendar. He scheduled everyone to be at Russell's house to pick him up and take him back and forth to Chapel Hill. I did it. Many of the ones in this room also did it. I remember the morning I pulled up in Russell's yard. He got in my truck, and I said, well, hey, and he said, I never know who's going to be here. I just know when I open my door, there's going to be a fireman waiting to take me to get my treatments. Steve Johnson did that on his own. He organized that calendar. He lined up and coordinated every bit of that so that Russell didn't have to worry about a thing. Again, that's the Steve Johnson that I know. And then I saved this one for last, and that is why we're here tonight, and that's the Rocky Mountain Benevolent Fund. They paid for the meal that you're having tonight. I can remember sitting in a staff meeting. I know Varnell was in it. I don't know about anybody else in this room. When Steve and Chief Root came in and presented the idea to start a benevolent fund. We were right over there at Life Safety in one of our Wednesday staff meetings. And I remember thinking to myself, this is probably not going to go very well. 10 minutes into their presentation, everybody in that room knew that this is something the Rocky Mountain Fire Department needed to do. They did an awesome job in presenting the idea and the concept, and they have done a tremendous job from that day forward in delivering exactly what they told us they could deliver. If you look out the window at this trailer over here, I remember when Steve was at Station 3 working on that trailer. They worked tirelessly to develop the trailer, to put the equipment in it, so if we had a fire department member who had a loss in their family, they would carry that trailer and provide them the things that they needed to help get through that difficult time in their life. The list just goes on and on of the things that Steve accomplished. And to me, he identifies as what a firefighter is supposed to be. And we're here to serve, and Steve has a heart of a servant, and I appreciate that as well as I know everyone in the Rocky Mountain Fire Department appreciates that. So in closing, in this job, not every day is great. Not everyone we deal with is pleasant. Not every decision we make is going to be correct. But every person is important and deserves our best. And that's what Steve Johnson has done his entire career. Steve, you've had a great career. You have affected many lives within the fire department, and you have served the citizens of Rocky Mount as a professional, caring, and compassionate firefighter. So I say to you, a job well done, and congratulations. Please come forward.
I stand here tonight looking at everyone, and a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts. I look out and see a lot of close friends. To be arrogant, we are the elite. As it's been mentioned many, many times before me tonight, The Rocky Mount Fire Department is the best. And we all have traveled the country, and we've been in and out of departments, and I think we all can say and have said that we are the best. And it's because of the people that came before us, and it's because of people who are here now. I've had a lot of people that helped me through my career, Larry being one of them, Andy Laster. I can't start naming all of them because I've missed someone, but anyway, I want to thank those guys who have made a positive impact on my career. I want to thank my family. As we all know, as the families here tonight know, there's a lot that gets missed. And it's because of the dedication and commitment to the organization that we get through it and that the fire department functions. It's because we're willing to make those sacrifices. I see some folks who have worked with me, and anyone in this room that knows it's a supervisor, you know that you can't do it by yourself. You have to have a good team. And as has been said before tonight, we are a team, we're a family. Sometimes we get down in the dumps, but we pick each other up and bring us forward. And I count it an honor and a pleasure to have been a member of the Rocky Mount Fire Department. Thank you.
I've sat here and listened to the stories. I know we can all gain something different from it. The families that are here tonight, I hope that you get a glimpse of the impact that your loved ones have made on their coworkers and the community and the lives that they've touched over the span of their career. For you new hires that we'll introduce in just a few minutes, and those of you that had a chance to work with these retirees that have only been here a few years, I hope that you'll listen to the stories that have been told, and that you'll take those and use them as nuggets of how to lead others and how to care for others and how to carry on the great tradition of this department and the standards of taking care of our community and taking care of each other. So without further ado, we're going to wrap up these last two retirees. Next, I'd like to ask retired Fire Captain Joe Parks to come forward and speak for newly retired Battalion Chief Timothy N. Turner. Chief Turner retired May 1st, 2019.
Tim sent a text message to me asking me to speak on his behalf. And I'm not sure if he thought that through. But Timothy Nelson Turner started his career October 7th, 1989, was promoted to engineer on February the 8th, 1997, promoted to captain July 5th, 2003, and was promoted to battalion chief July 23rd, 2011. And as Chief Daniels just stated, he retired May 1st of this year. He was involved in numerous areas in the fire department. He serves as a peer assessor for the international accreditation process. He was a member of the dive team, the Swiftwater Rescue Team. He was the fire department liaison in charge of training and the review of emergency dispatch procedures and on the 911 steering committee. He also was honored as one of the Luncheon Lions Firefighter of the Year. He earned his associate's degree in fire protection technology from Wilson Tech in 2002 and got a Bachelor of Science in Emergency and Disaster Management from Western Carolina University in 2012. Tim was born to be a firefighter. His birthday is 9/11. Words used to describe Tim include neat, prompt, dedicated, fair, full of common sense, driven, fun, witty, articulate, empathetic, honest. Did I mention witty? He had a quick, sharp sense of humor. And he married someone with that same sense of humor. tell a story. Tim started in October of '89. I think his son was born in December of '89. So when Tim would get home some nights, his wife, when she takes her hearing aids out, can't hear. So at night, if the baby's crying, Tim punches her, says, "The baby's crying." She said, "Well, he ain't bothering me." He said, "He never cries when you're at the firehouse." So that was a joke. We referred to Tim, we being some of the ones that worked together at headquarters early in our careers, as the grammatical genius. If you messed up a sentence or misspoke a word, you could see his head just, the antenna went off and he would call you on it. We have a beloved former coworker who got dizzy and had an inner ear infection, and it threw his equilibrium off. And Tim went, "Equilibrium and justice for all." And that was 25 years ago. So, and we still talk about it. One night we were sitting around talking, and he and I came out with the same statement at the same time, one of those jinx moments. And he spit out the word, "I guess we're teleconnected." And as soon as he was saying it, it was coming across his lips. He was trying to grab the words and shove them back in his mouth, and we busted him on that one. So he didn't mess up much, but when he did, we made sure he paid for it. I worked with Tim on duty and off duty. He's a very accomplished carpenter. He taught me how to frame houses, buildings, finish carpentry, all that. He was very, very good at that. Tim does the job the right way. I've seen, we would get involved in something and it didn't turn out the way that he thought it should, and he'd tear it apart and start over. If you're gonna do it the right way. That's something that I learned from Tim. If you're gonna do it the right way. He brought integrity to the job. Sometimes it wasn't the most popular thing to do, but it was the right thing to do. Integrity can be defined as the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. Doing the right thing even when no one else is watching. Tim's full of integrity. He was a great coworker, great supervisor, great role model, and great friend. And it's my pleasure and honor to present retired Battalion Chief Tim Turner.
Well, I really don't. I'll pay you later, by the way. I appreciate all the compliments. I don't know where to start. It's been most people have already been up here, have echoed the sentiments that we all want to, echo, and that's thank the people we've worked with, the friends we've made, relationships we've developed over the years, and the ability. The most satisfying thing of all of it is the ability to be able to help people every day and make a difference in someone's life. And that's what we do. You may not realize it, but you do it. You make a difference in someone's life every day in this job, and that's very important. Again, I can name 1,000 names. I worked with some of the best crews and some of the best people. Our group in '89, it was a special group. We're all still pretty tight, and seen a lot over the years, and I wouldn't change any of it. I'd do it again in a minute. So again, thank you, Joe. And I would say to everyone here who's still a member, or even wants to be a member, to listen to what other people say. When I first came along, some of the people who were retiring then, we didn't really listen to a lot of them, but we should have. And my son could probably vouch for this. I used to, one example was like if you ever run across a World War II vet, you listen to that person because you can learn a lot. And so I would say to you, listen to the people who have been in this line of work for 30 years and the people who are employees, and you can learn a lot. But most of all, treat people the right way. So thank you.
You know, I'd like to say I'm sorry that it took so long, but I'm not. This is great. This is what it's about, right? Honoring our retirees and honoring our employees. So thank you again for everybody that's come out tonight. And I do have the honor to speak on Brett, Bert, Brent, Skinter, all the different names that was given when we came up here. We came out of a meeting one day and they said, well, Bert will take care of that. And I thought, Bert. You know, when you're new and Amari, you'll know what I'm talking about here shortly. When you start talking about people with nicknames and stuff and you're trying to figure out who they're talking about. But I learned real quick that Brett Skinner can become a best friend in an overnight trip on a CERT deployment, or in a trip on a weekend school, or just sitting and talking to the experience that he brought to our organization. You see, Brett was kind of like Brian. He came from the engineering department. He was hired with the city in February the 11th of '85. He then came to the fire department as a firefighter January the 3rd of '89, was promoted to engineer March the 18th of 2000. I didn't write the last number. And then fire captain, which he retired as July the 5th of '03. That was a day that we got promoted together. It was a special day for us because of our friendship. And because Brett, if you remember, we spent a lot of time back there studying and shooting ideas off each other. And let me tell you what, because friendship is on my list of the 3 things I want to talk about you tonight. Brett wanted me to get promoted to fire captain as much as he wanted himself. We went out to National Community College one day and he gave me some fire problems and he said, look, you need to make sure you say this, you need to make sure you say that. Hey, you missed that, don't miss that, the assessors are going to get you. And I've never forgot that. Because a lot of times when you're going for a promotion or assessment center or a job promotion and you're in the secular or in the, the business world, you don't want the person you're competing with to get the job, you want it, not Brett Skinner. Brett told me everything he knew. He told me what I need to look at. He told me how I need to say it. That's friendship. That's a quality that most people don't have outside of the fire service, but I've seen it in many of our fire department employees over the years. But Brett, you brought it right to the forefront, right from the very beginning. You know, you had a vision for a CERT team. You went and got it on your own. You brought it back. You talked to Brian Mutzenball, Donnie Daniels, and myself, and we like to swim. We thought, well, let's try that out. So we went and got all that certifications. And now, how many members are there on that CERT team? 19, is that right? Nationally recognized, 21. Nationally recognized, been on many deployments. The lives that, from your one vision several years ago to start a water rescue team, look at the lives that have changed in Linville when we went out there, and the friendship that you brought on the trips. The laughter, the leadership, the guidance that you provided for us is unmatched. So we thank you for that. But I can't go without telling one story about when you first got promoted to engineer. I was on the rescue truck with you. And we pulled up at a fire right on the corner. There was a little convenient mart on that little turn before you turn up. I don't know what this street is. Before you take a left up on it. But we pulled, huh? Yeah, East Thomas. We pulled up on that little median and we got out and we went and did a little bit of work and put the fire out and everything. And you know, in the fire service, they say, set your wheel chocks. Don't get out of that truck and not set your wheel chocks. And so Brett, being a brand new engineer, he wanted to follow all the rules that he'd been taught. So he set his wheel chocks. Well, we were so excited to get back on the truck and we were talking about what we had done. Brett takes that thing and lets the air brake go and puts it in drive and drives right over that wheel chalk. And it went pow, pow. And I looked over and I said, Brett, you just ran over the wheel chalk. He said, are you serious? And we got back and we had flattened the back rear tire. One more quick story, Brett. We were on the rescue truck and we were going to Manning Court. And we pulled out going over the bridge, and we were on the rescue truck, and I thought we were going to Manning's Trailer Park, and he knew where he was going. He was driving, and I kept telling him, Brett, you just missed your turn. He said, no, I didn't. Well, good. I said, Brett, you just missed your turn. And I kept telling him, you missed your turn. He would not buy into it. He drove right down, and he pulled in. He said, that's Manning Court. I said, oh, yeah, Manning Trailer Park's down Raleigh Road. But Brett, you led us and you guided us and you directed Malinowski and me on that truck when we first got on it, because that was the first time I'd been on the truck. I want to thank you for that. And so the one word that I could think of when I thought about you and what you mean to me and our friendship was integrity. You describe integrity to the utmost. What you've brought to our organization, what you've brought to our friendship is amazing. And along with integrity comes family. And I'd be remiss not to mention your family that's here with you tonight, with Jackie and Myra, Ben, Tish, little Logan, and then Tyler and Molly and Braden. Quite a family, quite a job you've done over the years to hold everything together while being a phenomenal employee for the City of Rocky Mount Fire Department. So let's talk about integrity for just a second. In 1 Kings 9:4, integrity is spoken of, and there's some things through that verse that talks about integrity and heart and uprightness and David and how he led. And at the end it says, you will establish a royal throne forever. And I think you've done that. I think your integrity has led you to be an upright with a huge heart, and you've got a huge throne. So I ask that you would come up on stage, and we thank you for what you've done for us.
Oh, me. Somehow I knew those two stories would come up, and whoa, they could have got a better picture. I did grow my hair back, in case you didn't know it would grow back, and working on the beard I've been trying to grow for 30 years. Thank you, Ruby. He and I, and Malinowski, and Chief Daniels, and I can't even begin to name the number of people who have worked together, and we had a tremendous time. I want to thank God for getting me through 30 years, pretty much unscathed, or at least enough not to have to tell anybody about it. I will thank my family, my wife, who has held the family together while I was out chasing storms and going to classes and anything you can imagine throughout this career. My kids, Ben and Molly, and now their spouses, Tish and Tyler there. I tried my best to keep Molly from marrying a fireman, but she did it anyway. So she'll continue with this lifestyle now for the rest of her life. It's been a tremendous honor because you'll hear it repeated over and over and over again. This is the best group of people that you will ever work with. The thing that I'll miss, I'll be honest with you, I won't miss getting on a fire truck. I've seen enough, I've done enough, and that part's over with, and I'm kind of glad. But I will truly miss these people in this fire department because they're some of the finest people that ever walked the face of this earth. They are a family. They have stood by me through, you know, loss of parents and in-laws and various other things going on. When Jackie was sick for a while, when my mother-in-law was sick for a while, the fire department has always been there, always, never fails. I look forward to retirement. I'm only a week in. I worked last Tuesday. So this first week's been great. It feels natural, and I'm glad to be here. I got a lot of things to do, a lot of projects I never got around to, and I really look forward to it. But I thank everybody. I think, you know, look at the people that I have been up here with tonight. The group of people that I have been privileged to retire with is an incredible group of people. And there's so many more that's sitting out there in that audience tonight that are just as good, just as great. And now that we are gone, we leave this fire department in your hands, okay? Just as the people who came before us did. They built this fire department, they made it a great fire department. We tried to carry on their work as best we could. And my challenge to you is to carry this fire department on into the future and keep it with the reputation and keep it as good and keep it as close and keep it a family like it has been for the 30 years that I've been part of it. Thank you.
The next phase we're going to move into, and I started to joke about it now for their replacements, but with the legacy that this group has left behind and the mark that they've made on our organization, they can never truly be replaced. We do have the privilege of introducing some of our new hires, those that have been hired since April 10th, 2018, and I am fully confident that at the end of their careers, you'll hear some of the same stories, because this group is young, they're talented, and with what they've learned from each of you, they'll continue on and be equally as successful and have such an impact in the future of our organization. So at this time, I'd like the following newly hired employees that have been hired since April 10th, 2018 to make their way to the stage quickly, please. That would be Neil Barrow, Jeffrey Krastowski, Isaiah Evans, Nathan Everett, Catherine Harrison, Zachary Leonard, Samuel Lewis, William Locke, Kevin Ortiz, Amari Lucas Thomas, Tyler Massengale, Benjamin Meeks, Nathan Smith, Ethan Strickland, Michael Swyman, and Trenton Taylor. Please join me in welcoming the future of our Rocky Mount Fire Department. And that's not counting the roughly 16 conditional job offers that we just made for full-time and part-time employees that haven't even started their training yet. That'll be coming up pretty quick. The next area that we'll go into is our promotions. These are the personnel that have been promoted in our department since April 10th, 2018. If we're going to go through these fairly quick, we're certainly going to give you the time to honor you, but if you know you're on this list, go ahead and please make your way up to the stage, please. The first person we'll recognize will be Fire Captain Perry L. Myrick. Fire Captain Perry Myrick was hired as a firefighter with the City of Rocky Mount Fire Department on March 23rd, 2009. He held the position of firefighter and senior firefighter until March 14th, 2015, when he was promoted to fire engineer. He was promoted to fire captain on December 15, 2018. Captain Myrick has an associate's degree in fire protection technologies from Wilson Community College, a Bachelor of Science in Agronomy from North Carolina State University, a Bachelor of Science in Fire and Emergency Services Administration from Fayetteville State University. He is also a graduate of the National Fire Academy's Managing Officer Program. He is a son of Lee and Jan Myrick and married to his wife, Casey. Captain Myrick, congratulations. All right, and next up we have Fire Engineer Early Ray Yarborough. Fire Engineer Ray Yarborough was hired as a firefighter of the City of Rocky Mount on December 8, 2012. He held the position of firefighter and senior firefighter prior to being promoted to fire engineer on December 15, 2018. Fire Engineer Yarborough has one son, Camden Yarborough. Engineer Yarborough, congratulations. Senior firefighter Kalen Burrell could not be with us tonight, but senior firefighter Burrell was hired with the city January 4, 2016. He held this position until being promoted to senior firefighter on February 23, 2019. Senior Firefighter Burrell serves on the technical rescue team, the dive team, and the fire control team. He is currently enrolled at Nash Community College working towards a fire protection technology degree. Senior Firefighter Burrell, congratulations, and unfortunately, as I said earlier, he will not be able to join us tonight. Next up, we have Senior Firefighter Aaron T. Pike, Sr. Senior Firefighter Aaron Pike was hired as a firefighter with the City of Rocky Mount Fire Department on January 4th, 2016. He held this position until being promoted to Senior Firefighter on March 23rd, 2019. Senior Firefighter Pike has an associate's degree in fire protection technology. He is married to his wife, Lauren. They have one daughter, Natalie. Senior Firefighter Pike, congratulations. Next up, we have Senior Firefighter David D. Sessoms. Senior Firefighter Sessoms obviously is quick to take action. Was hired as a firefighter at City of Rocky Mount on January 4, 2016, promoted February 9, 2019 to Senior Firefighter. Sessoms began his firefighting career in 1996 at the Tarboro Fire Department, where he worked for almost 20 years. During that time, he worked his way up to the rank of lieutenant before moving to the Rocky Mount Fire Department. He has been involved in Boy Scouts since 2007 and was a Scoutmaster for Troop 49 in Tarboro for 10 years. He is married to his wife, Andrea, and they have 4 sons, Edgar, Jacob, Anderson, and Carter. Congratulations. Next up, we have Senior Firefighter Michael S. Stringer. Senior Firefighter Stringer was hired as a firefighter of the city on December 12, 2011. He held this position until being promoted to Senior Firefighter on April 7, 2018. Stringer is currently enrolled at Nash Community College working toward a fire science degree. Senior Firefighter Stringer, congratulations. Next up, we have Senior Firefighter Jeremy A. Wells. Senior Firefighter Jeremy Wells was hired as a firefighter of the City of Rocky Mount on July 19, 2014. He held this position until being promoted to Senior Firefighter on January 12, 2019. Senior Firefighter Wells has a bachelor's degree in construction management with a minor in business administration. He is married to his wife, Emily. They have 1 son, Parker. He is a member of Open Door Church in Greenville, North Carolina. Congratulations. And the last one we want to recognize would be Assistant Fire Marshal Stanley F. Smith. I'm not sure if Assistant Fire Marshal Smith is in, but Assistant Fire Marshal Stanley Smith was hired as a firefighter of the City of Rocky Mount on October 30, 2000. He held this position until being promoted to Senior Firefighter on October 30, 2003. He was promoted to Fire Engineer on November 17, 2007, and held that position until he was promoted to Fire Captain on December 22, 2012. Smith transferred to the Life Safety and Training Division on March 23, 2019, where he now serves as an Assistant Fire Marshal. He is married to his wife, Tanya. They have 2 daughters, Amber and Brittany, and 1 son, Joseph. At this point, this will conclude our promotees. We'll quickly move into our EMS Life Saving Awards. The following employees are being recognized as a crew for their emergency medical response efforts. As a result of their emergency medical knowledge and skills, along with their diligent efforts, the patients and their respective incidents survived. Please join us in recognizing the following firefighters for their contributions to the successful life-saving effort on each of these incidents. The incident that occurred on Lincoln Drive, the crew would be Fire Engineer Jonathan Langley, Fire Engineer Josh Garris, and Firefighter Dontamius Austin. If any of you here, please come forward. The next incident occurred on Northwestland Boulevard with the crew assisting would be Fire Captain Brad Price, Fire Engineer Kevin Bolden, and Senior Firefighter Jamison Joyner. The next incident resulted in actions taken at Meadowbrook Road. Fire Captain Michael Strange, Fire Engineer Rance Manning, Firefighter Catherine Harrison, and Firefighter Samuel Lewis. The next incident occurred on Highway 64, and you'll notice there are a lot of names listed on this incident. Many of you are aware a cardiac arrest incident requires a massive amount of teamwork to work together for a positive outcome. This is particularly important on a vehicle accident when there are people that possibly pinned in vehicles and so forth. It takes more than one crew, as you can see here. The incident on Highway 64, those being recognized are Fire Captain Chad Spruill, Fire Captain Jeffrey Swanner, Fire Engineer Jim Gardner, Fire Engineer Jet Webb, Senior Firefighter Glenn Pulley, Senior Firefighter David Sessoms, Firefighter Don Tamius Austin, Firefighter Wesley Boone, Firefighter Michael Mills, and Firefighter Danny Witherington. And finally, the last incident recognized in this category occurred on Cokie Road with Fire Captain Chad Spruill, Fire Engineer Stephen Baker, Senior Firefighter Kalen Burrell, and Firefighter Chase Colson. Another area that you'll notice in your bulletin that we will not actually call up on the stage tonight is our EMS Return of Spontaneous Circulation Awards. If you're familiar with our department, you know that annually we always seem to rate higher than the national average on cardiac arrest saves. And we're blessed with the training and the equipment and the response efforts of our personnel that each year we seem to have more and more saves. So what we've done is separated those categories, and for the return of spontaneous circulation meant that we may not be aware of the final outcome of the patient, but we know that there was a cardiac arrest on site, and when that patient left the scene, they did have a pulse. So those honorees are recognized. They'll be given certificates at their stations, but they are listed in your bulletin. So I just, if you would take just a second to recognize and acknowledge the efforts they made. Our final recognitions for tonight will be our Employee of the Year awards, and these are very important. And each year you hear us say, these are nominated and voted by their peers. They're not selected by staff. These are the Officer of the Year, the Firefighter of the Year, and the Staff Employee of the Year are chosen by their coworkers and their employees. So at this point, we'd like for the Officer of the Year, Timothy Ian Turner, to come forward, please. Retired Battalion Chief Tim Turner was hired as a firefighter at the City of Rocky Mount Fire Department on October 2nd, 1989. He held the position of Senior Firefighter and Fire Engineer prior to being promoted to Captain on July 5th, 2003. Chief Turner was promoted on July 23rd, 2011. He held this until his retirement on May 1st. Has an associate's degree in applied science from technology and a Bachelor of Science in Emergency and Disaster Management. He is married to his wife Terry. They have two daughters, Anna Pursley and Megan Marks, one son, Tyler. Chief Turner, congratulations. Our Firefighter of the Year is Jeremy A. Wells. Since we've completely read his bio before, we just asked Senior Firefighter Wells to come forward. And congratulations on your award. And last but certainly not least, our Staff Employee of the Year, and that will go to our Fire and Life Safety Educator, Blaze Harris. Blaze is well known in our community, and he was quite a catch for us. Life Safety Educator Blaze Harris was hired by the City of Rocky Mount on October 9, 2017. Prior to his employment with the Rocky Mount Fire Department, he served as a senior firefighter for Raleigh Fire Department. Harris has a Bachelor of Arts in Psychology from North Carolina State University and will graduate with a Master's in Mental Health Counseling from North Carolina Central University in December 2019. He is a member of the North Carolina First Responder Peer Support Team. He has two children, son Gabriel and daughter Gracelyn. who serves as his inspiration and also critics for new fire and life safety songs and lessons that he blesses us with consistently. Congratulations, Blaze.
Been a long night so far, hasn't it? But I can't think of a better thing to spend time doing than to recognizing our personnel and spending time with our extended family. I think you kind of have a consistent message that you've heard from everyone that's been up to speak tonight, and it reiterates the importance and significance of family, not just the Rocky Mountain Fire Department family, but every RMFD member's family is a part of our whole entire large unit of a family. We are here for everyone. We are here to make sure that your loved one goes home every day and enjoys a wonderful career that they can appreciate at the time when they get to retire. I think you heard 10 people come up here and stand tonight and speak of basically the treasure that all of them have been blessed with having. Many of us get to enjoy it every day. I couldn't imagine doing anything more, but please know that you are in our hearts and our minds more than you realize as family members. And our members, we value so much that we know that we can't be here without you. So I want to thank you once again for coming. A special thank you, so I don't forget. Awards and Recognition Committee, thank you so much. The Rocky Mountain Meal, they allowed us to use this facility as well. Meal preparers and servers. If I go to try to start naming names, I'm definitely going to forget somebody. So I apologize, but I want to thank everyone who contributed, from the meal preparation to gathering to separating to preparing, to the point where the tables we're all sitting at are set up and in a fashion that is so professional and so elegant for our event. We wanted it to be special, and to those of y'all in the Awards and Recognition Committee, you helped to make it so. Photographer Lamont Morgan and Bob Bartos, thank both of you for your time and efforts. We can't do it without you. And videographer Mark Adcox. This is a special event. We've tried to make a habit to make sure we record them because they're such a significant event that captures the conclusion of this chapter of the lives of many of our retirees, as well as the special events of our employees that are working today. So I can't thank you enough. I will ask that you continue to pray for our department and pray for all of our members, because I assure you we continue to pray for our members and pray for you. I thank you again for tonight, and I'll call Chaplain Anderson for our benediction.
Come on, y'all ain't looking at nobody else. Come on, look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, we made it through. Come on, give God a good hand clap. Amen. Amen. Father, we just want to thank you for such a special occasion on tonight. And God, even as we depart this place, but not your presence, we pray that your grace and your mercy will follow us through our different destinations. Continue to bless this city and those who have put their hands to protect it and provide for it. We pray for the city manager, the mayor, and all those in authority. We pray, God, that you will continue to help this city become a light on the hill. And God, as we continue to pray one for another, strengthen us all and keep us under your graceful hand. And we give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen. God bless you. Have a good night.